Baseball. And strike one on Josh Anderson. Anderson starting for the first time in the series. And Curtis Granderson, who is the Tigers' normal leadoff man, will bat fifth today. Anderson extremely fast, so the Royals want to keep him off the bases. 9 stolen bases this year. He's been thrown out once. Davies gets a ground ball to the right side, but Anderson kind of reaches down and golfs it into right. A pretty good pitch on 0-2, but Anderson ends up with a game-opening single. Now the Tigers batting order presented by M&I Bank. So Anderson leading off, Granderson batting fifth. Ryan Rayburn will be in there as the designated hitter, or rather in right field. Ordonez is the DH. Rayburn will be in right. He'll bat eighth. And Everett will be at shortstop. So 9 stolen bases at first base with nobody out for Placido Polanco. Anderson takes off right away. John Buck's throw is to the third base side, so make it 10 stolen bases for Anderson.
Well, Anderson can run. He was going right away, Ryan, and he's been successful the last 7 attempts in a row, and they're just going to go out and push the envelope. And sometimes Kyle can lose sight of the runner at first base and in early innings, and then John Buck, they like to try to see if they can get an advantage on him also.
Polanco about as good as it gets in the American League, controlling the bat, and he was taking a shot at the right side, trying to get Anderson over to third base. 2 hits in the series for Polanco. He has scored 3 times and driven in a run. Now pickoff play at second base, and Anderson is out. Hey, that's our buddy Paul Emmel making the call at second base.
Well, this is a timing play here between Hernandez and Davies, and he made a perfect throw right into the back of Anderson, and he really made the tag before his foot got down on the bag. He just made that catch right against his body. It's perfect play.
So just like that, 2 outs in the inning. And Kyle Davies is always trying to get past the first inning. Gives up the leadoff single, but now the pickoff and a flyout. 2 outs, nobody on for Ordonez, and here's the Kia scouting report on Davies.
Well, just getting through the first inning is really key, and maybe the first 2 innings, and give his offense a chance to get into the game. Good use of his cutter today will make his curveball much more effective.
0-1 to Ordonez, who has 3 hits and a 12-game hitting streak. And Davies ahead, no balls, 2 strikes. When Kyle has had problems in the first inning, a lot of times it's because of a lack of command of his fastball. That's not an issue today.
Well, he's pitching more aggressively with his fastball and getting ahead, and that's how you get through innings, is just pitch both sides of the plate with your fastball, and then really makes the other pitches better.
Guillen coming over from right, the ball slicing into him, and Kyle needs just 9 pitches to get through the first. Well, it's certainly good for the game and specifically good for the Royals the way Zach is throwing. And DeJesus belts it to deep center. Granderson to the track. And it's off the high V sign. DeJesus is going to try for 3 with 1 out. And David is in there.
Said the Royals need to make Porcello get the ball up. He left that one up out over the plate, and David really got the bat head through the ball. You can see the contact square. Hands turn after the ball gets through the zone, after the hands get through the zone, and he really drove that ball into right center field. And we got a great view of Joel Goldberg
and his earpiece.
Hi guys.
Like the stuff. Like the stuff. Enjoy it. Thank you.
I got a pretty good view of that. I just found the exact spot. You could see track marks down here from Curtis Granderson, by the way, as we peek over. What an unbelievable view out here. But you could see his cleat marks and everything down here, and I think the fans were hoping for a home run ball. They got pretty close and saw a good triple, though. They got their gloves. No beach balls, by the way, Ryan.
So far.
Joel, you made your way right into the camera shot.
Well, you know, I'm doing whatever I can. Thanks, Frank. Just trying to get a little airtime here.
2-0 on Billy. So the Royals have been trying to find a nice streak of getting that runner home from third base with less than 2 outs. That's been a challenge all season and an opportunity in the first against Porcello, and Billy fouls it away 2-1.
One thing about a single baller, you have to really make sure you get inside the ball and try to hit it the opposite way. He wants you to roll over and hit that ground ball to third, and that'll really prevent that run unless they've got to go on contact, and the fielder has to go left or right a couple spaces. But other than that, Billy's got to stay with the program and try to hit the ball the other way.
Or he can hit it like that to left.
If they leave it up, that's what you do.
Now, last night, when Mitch Meyer hit that 2-run single for the Royals, you agreed with that play.
Oh, Deb, I agree with that one, too. Well, here the single ball, the ball didn't go down. It stayed up, and when it stays up, it gets hit. And what he wanted to do was go down and have Billy swing over the top of it and hit a ground ball. But right now, Porcello's having a hard time getting his sinker down. I will agree with all those base hits like that.
Now Jose Guillen, he takes ball 1. Now that swing reminds me of what Kevin Seitzer has been trying to work with these guys. Think up the middle and just trust that you will have the hand speed to turn on the ball, but don't go up there thinking that you have to pull the ball.
Right. He wants to get your body out of the way and let your hands do the work. And if Billy, by concentrating in the middle, when he hits that ball, he keeps it fair versus hooking it foul just inside the left field foul line. So he just does a great job. See, his head goes down with that ball. That's just concentration right there. And he gets right through the ball and finishes high at the end. Just a great swing.
Now Guillen up the left field line, but out in front and pulls it into the seats. So Billy drives in his 21st. Jose Guillen hitting his 4th home run last night. Jose is 22 RBIs and even being on the disabled list for 2 weeks. That places him second on the Royals behind Mike Jacobs, who has 25.
Well, Jose knows how to drive in runs, and I think that's a big plus about him. He's done it for so many years, and he has an idea how to think when he's at the plate.
That is a nasty sinker that just dove underneath Guillen's bat. Porcello with his first strikeout, 2 down in the first.
And when a sinker does what a sinker wants to do, then this is what happens here. He starts it by just above the knees and it just dives straight down.
That thing almost looks like a splitter the way it breaks. I mean, I know it's not, but
that's the one you make it turn over, and when you make it turn over, it just goes straight down. And the one they threw to Billy, he tried to make it run in on his hands a little bit, but just left it up to not on his hands, but around on the inside corner. But he left it up a little too much, and Billy was able to get the bat head to it.
Strike 1 to Jacobs.
But you can just see how this ball turns over, and it looks like it's a hittable pitch. Jose likes the ball down when it coming in on him, but this one just really dove straight down.
Changeup 1-1 to Jacobs. 1 out of 7 so far in the series with a double.
Well, the left-handed hitters are hitting .292 against Porcello, and that's probably why Trey Hillman's got 6 left-handers in the lineup today.
Yeah, if this was a day where you were going to write out the lineup based on what Porcello has done against righties and lefties, look at that there. I mean, this is a no-brainer. 184. So only Butler, Guillen, and Buck are the right-hand batters in there against Porcello. 3-1. Tigers' first-round pick 2 years ago. He was the 27th overall pick. And the reason he dropped that low was because of his agent, Scott Morris, who was demanding big dollars for the high schooler out of New Jersey. The Tigers took a chance. 2 years later, he's in the big leagues. And starting to put it together with an ERA just barely over 1 in his last 4 starts. And Jacobs takes a 2-out walk. Now Porcello's going to hear from pitching coach Rick Knapp. Now, take nothing away from what Porcello has done in this streak that he has now. But when you look at the teams that he has beaten over this stretch, he has beaten Colorado, last place in the National League West. He has beaten Oakland, last place in the American League West. He has beaten Cleveland, last place in the American League Central. And he's beaten Minnesota. That's in the middle of the pack in the Central. Those are the last 3. Minnesota was the first of the last 4. So good numbers. Major league teams. All those teams have good hitters in the lineup. But how good was he? Well, we'll see today. Now going with a breaking ball to jump ahead of Mark Teahen. 1 for 5 with a double in this series. Teahen homered against Porcello when the Royals faced him back on the 24th of April.
You know, when you look at the type of stuff that Porcello has, he does have the ability to beat pretty much any major league ball club if he's on. And I think if you were to total them all up at the end of the year, if he's got double-digit victories and above 500, in his mind, he probably won't care who he beats unless you're into the last week of the season and you plan for the division. At that point, that's when it becomes really, really important who you beat.
1-2 to Teahen. Well, before he began this run, he pitched against the Yankees and gave up 6 runs in 3 2/3 innings. So as my buddy in Minnesota used to say, I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Oh, you hear what I'm trying to say?
Still 1-2 on Teahen. Porcello, when he pitched against the Royals last month, he went up against Zach Greinke, who pitched one of his complete games and lost 6-1. Gave up 5 runs in 6 innings. One of the runs was unearned. Greinke gave up no earned runs. He did give up an unearned run, snapping his streak of 38 innings without allowing any type of a run. John Gibbons managing the Royals today with Trey Hillman's suspension. Gibby coming over to the Royals this year after managing the Toronto Blue Jays, was replaced in the middle of the season last year by Cito Gaston. Teahen strikes out. Porcello strikes out too, but the Royals take the lead in the first inning with 1 out. David DeJesus with his 4th triple of the year, and Billy Butler right behind him drives him home. League, followed by the Tigers, but 27-42. Royals with the second lowest ERA. The Tigers have the lowest, fewest home runs. The Tigers have allowed the second fewest home runs.
Do you think park size has anything to do with that at all?
Both of them play in a big ballpark. Comerica not as big now as it was when they brought the fences in about 5 years ago in left field. 2-1 on Miguel Cabrera. Two and two. Kyle Davies, always a goal of his to get through the first inning. And we showed you at the beginning of the game that his ERA is about 6 in the first inning. He gave up a leadoff single to Josh Anderson, but picked him off and ended up only facing 3. And has very good command of his fastball today. Great catch in the upper deck by a guy who didn't bring his glove. Look at that, leaning back on the row behind him.
No, you take a guy that's been professionally trained to catch baseballs without a glove. I was trained with a glove, so I would have missed that ball. But someone who hasn't been trained, they make the greatest catches in the world.
Blasted to deep left field, and Cabrera has tied the game. Over the Tiger bullpen. That is the 10th home run of the season for Miguel Cabrera.
Miguel Cabrera's got a real nice swing across the zone, and this is that cutter that stayed in the middle of the plate, and you leave balls in the middle of the plate to him and he gets a good swing on it. He doesn't miss very often, and he really drove that ball to left field.
So much for our home run allowed stat.
Yeah, in a big ballpark, but you also have some fly ball pitchers, and that makes a big difference as you go around the league.
1-1 to Granderson, who moves down to number 5 in the batting order. One ball, 2 strikes. Zach Greinke said after the game last night that he believes the 3 best hitters in baseball, at least that he's faced, Albert Pujols, Alex Rodriguez, and Miguel Cabrera.
Those 3 pretty good hitters.
Into right. That's going to drop in front of Guillen. So a home run and a single greeting Davies in the second inning. 2 out of the 3 hits Davies has allowed, he's been ahead in the count.
Well, this is a curveball, and right now the ball's standing in the middle of the plate. It's not going down, and Granderson just went down and got it. We know he's capable of going down and really getting that ball. Last night, Zach threw him a hard slider down and in, and he went down and served it to left field. So he's got that kind of swing that's really conducive to breaking balls that stay out over the plate down.
Royals thinking that Granderson might take off. Ball 1 to Brandon Inge. Anderson stole second against Davies and Buck in the first inning. Inge 3 out of 9 in the series. One ball, 1 strike. Almost got Granderson. Kyle's last start was Friday at St. Louis, and he pitched well. He only gave up 3 hits in 6 innings, 2 runs, but some difficulty in the first inning with 30 pitches thrown, allowing both of the runs. and had to come out early because of the National League rules. His turn to come up in the bottom of the 6th inning, and Trey Hillman seeing an opportunity to get a pinch hitter in there and score some runs. Didn't work out on that occasion, and the Cardinals went on to win 5-0, but only 3 hits in 6 innings given up by Davies. 2-1 to Inge. Anderson started and stopped, and it's 2-2.
Well, Cal's been doing a real good job mixing it up. He's been using a slide step a couple times, and then holds a base runner back. And that time, Granderson was probably looking at going on the first move, but he gave the higher leg kick, and that really froze him and kept him at the base. So that's why it's really important as a pitcher to change your looks to first base and vary your speeds to the plate.
Into right, Guillen to the line. That's the first out of the inning. So Granderson at first with 1 out. This week on Fox Saturday Baseball, Justin Morneau and the Twins take on Evan Longoria and the defending American League champion Rays. Fox Saturday Baseball returns this week at 3 p.m. on Fox. Here's Gerald Laird, who homered in the 13-1 win for the Tigers on Monday. And the Royals seem to be convinced that at some point in this inning, Curtis Granderson's going to take off. Almost. Bruce Dreckman, the umpire at first base. Whoa.
Well, I tell you, that was a nice play and a nice throw to first and a nice tag by Billy on this play here.
He's out.
Well, you can't say the umpire didn't get a good look at that one.
Laird, who loves to bunt, trying to lay one down, but Davies coming off the mound to throw him out. Granderson moves up to second base.
Well, Kyle does a great job just setting his feet on this play, and pitchers really aren't accustomed to really going to the third base line and making that long throw back across the field. But the key thing here is he sets his feet, keeps his balance, and makes the throw.
And now Ryan Rayburn, who starts for the first time in the series. He's in right field. Maglio Ordonez is the designated hitter today. And Jeff Larish, who had been the DH in the first 2 games, is out. Miguel Cabrera with a long home run to left to lead off the inning. Then Granderson singled, and he's at second base with 2 outs. Now Granderson to third. John Buck's throw. Martin never went to cover the bag. Well, it's a good thing that John Buck either picked up Martin out over the bag, because if he throws it right over the bag, that thing might go down into the corner.
Well, when you got a fast runner at second base with the ability of Curtis Granderson, you really can't play that deep. Mark's up about 2 or 3 steps off the grass, and that's pretty big spacing. And even if he had broke to the base, it still would have been a tough play for him. I think that was just simply Granderson realizing the spacing between Mark and the bag and saying, look, I can walk on this one, and he just basically just walked into third base.
But John Buck came up throwing as if he thought he had a play.
Well, he had a play, but I mean, he can't really see what Mark's doing. He wants to. He just anticipates him being at the bag, and he's going to come up and throw to the bag.
And the Tigers take the lead as Rayburn goes into right center field. Rayburn drives in his 11th of the year. And now Adam Everett, who was 0 for 3 last night, dropping his average below 300. He had been off to a good start, still off to a good start. Batted just .213 for Minnesota last year. Kyle misses with ball 1. If you go through Kyle Davies' entire season, seems like there's going to be one inning where he's going to have some trouble. More times than not, it's the first inning. But then, in just about every start, Kyle gets on a roll. And going back to the game on Friday at St. Louis, 30 pitches, 2 runs in the first, but then he had a stretch where he retired 15 in a row.
I think it's just a matter with him of just finding his comfort zone and being able to keep the same consistent release point on his pitches, and I think that's when he starts to really hone in on his fastball command, and it really makes his other pitches better. Trying to decide which one you're going to use. Are you going to use the slider? I mean the cutter. Or are you going to use his curveball? And he has a good changeup. So basically, which pitches he's going to trust when he gets in trouble to get out of trouble and take him on through the game.
Two and 2 on Adam Everett. Kyle 0-1 against the Tigers this year, and the Tigers really used the extra base hit to beat Davies. That was on April the 25th. They scored 7 runs in 5 1/3 inning. They had 4 different 2-run extra base hits. And Kyle in his career against Detroit has had a bad time. He's just 1-5 with a 5.68 ERA. He swung. Kyle's first strikeout, but the Tigers take the lead with 2 in the second. You Call It, presented by Sprint. What new addition will help the most? A. Mitch Meyer, B. Luis Hernandez, C. John Bale, D. Roman Colon. Text 432-432, enter keyword Royals followed by a space and your selection. Standard text rates apply. Second pitch to Callaspo is lifted to shallow center. Granderson takes care of it. Alberto down. The Royals in the first with one out. De Jesus triple, and Butler got him to the plate. Porcello finished the inning by striking out Guillen and Tien. Ball one to John Buck, 0 for 3 with a strikeout on Monday. He was not in the lineup last month when the Royals faced Porcello. So he is seeing him for the first time. 1 ball, 1 strike. Again, trying to go to the right side. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Not only did the Royals score a run in the first inning, but they forced Porcello to throw 26 pitches. Now that's important because the Tigers have been very protective of Rick Porcello. He is only averaging about 85, 86 pitches per start, and Jim Leyland promised Dave Dombrowski, the president and GM of the Tigers, that if Leyland could have Rick Porcello and Ryan Perry, a couple of young pitchers with great arms, first-round picks the last 2 years, he promised that he would keep a close eye on them and they would not get injured on his watch. Now, he's not talking about a freak injury, rolling an ankle or something like that, but they would not get injured because of overuse. Third strikeout for Porcello. 2 down in the second inning.
I think the only way you can control that is if you control the pitch counts, you can control how they're being used, and you have to be really careful about the tough situations they get themselves in, how hard you want to make them work to get out of those situations. So that takes some management, and that's a lot to take on as a manager.
Now Luis Hernandez down to the count. No balls, 1 strike. Laid down a very important sacrifice bunt in the 6th inning. And it wasn't just the bunt, but it was Edwin Jackson fielding the bunt and throwing it away, which got the Royals going and scored 3 in the 6th. 0-2 to Hernandez.
Yeah, with Hernandez at the plate, and you talk about players that are more valuable to the team right now, as in how you call it, and Hernandez would definitely be one of those guys, as you would say, is pretty valuable to being a natural shortstop.
3 up, 3 down. Down go the Royals. Porcello has struck out 4. Royals baseball brought to you today by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. And by AT&T. Switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Seen a home run today on the big K and the little K. Miguel Cabrera homering for Detroit. They have to hurry with Anderson, and it's off of Tien's bare hand. Tien was on it quickly. I think he would have had a play if he grabbed it, but that's a play that's a lot more difficult than it looks.
I think that's one of those plays as a third baseman. You got to look at the speed of the ball and whether the ball is bouncing. And this is one of the plays you can come in with your glove and just do the quick exchange from your glove, from glove to bare hand versus going to bare hand. That's hard. That ball's got to hit you just right in the hands, going that hard to make that play. You know, the old timers would say, only feel the ball is coming to a stop barehanded. Otherwise, you come in with your glove and you try to go from the glove to the bare hand, then make the throw.
That's the second time that the Royals have pitched out. Anderson reached on a single to open the game, and then he took off on the next pitch and stole second, this time holding on the pitch to Polanco. Placido flied out to left his first time.
Well, Anderson bunts a lot, even in Double-A. You know, when he's down there in Corpus. I mean, he was a leadoff hitter, and he bunted a lot. He stole bases, so he's a guy that you really got to keep an eye on because you never know what he's going to do when he's at the plate.
Not running, and Davies maybe rushing his delivery, missed badly to Polanco.
Yeah, that's what happens when you go to the slide step, because if you don't give your arm a chance to catch up, you leave it behind, and that'll result in a high fastball. And maybe your breaking ball not breaking to the depth that you wanted to break.
Three and 0. Kyle gave up a home run to Cabrera in the second inning. And then a 2-out RBI single to Ryan Rayburn to put the Tigers in front, 3-1 on Polanco. Full count.
In a situation like this, Ryan, 3-2, you know Anderson's going to be running, and you got a good back control hitter like Polanco with the play. I think it's really important that Kyle probably forgets about Anderson. Make sure he does everything he can to make a quality pitch and try to get an out that way. If he rushes and walks Polanco, then you don't really help yourself that much at all.
Anderson stealing his 10th in the first inning, but then Kyle picked him off at second base. Well, Kyle's thrown over there about a dozen times already today.
Well, I think the play right now is at home plate. I don't think it's at first base. I think he needs to really concentrate on making a good pitch here and getting the ball, putting the ball in play, and not risk walking and trying to be too quick to the plate and worry about Anderson still in second base.
Well, and Anderson, it's not necessarily hit and run, but I'm guessing in his mind he's not trying to get his best jump. I mean, he's going to be starting early, but he's also going to make sure he doesn't get picked off, right?
Well, that's going to be number one, but he's actually going to try to steal his base too.
And by looking in, he was able to pick up the fly ball to right field. So Kyle gets Polanco, and now Maglio Ordonez. We like it when a guy peeks in at the plate.
I like it because it takes away all the confusion at second base. You can't get deked by the infielder, and most of them they don't look. They know that they have to look right to third base when they don't know where the ball is, but then they try to find the ball on their own, and they're out in no man's land at that point. Anderson starting and stopping, and that had John Buck out of his crouch.
Now, did you coach third base when you're managing in Wichita?
Yes.
So that's got to drive you crazy on a play like that. When you could help your runner out if he just look at you, I mean, got to be thinking, well, what the heck am I doing out here if the runner's not going to use me?
Well, the good thing, too, is you could yell a lot and they could hear you in the ballparks there.
Into center field, Ordonez with Anderson now wanting to move up to third, and Meyer does the right thing to throw to second base and keep the double play in order.
That was a smart play by Mitch right there. I mean, you want to try to throw a guy out you can't throw out, and you might as well keep it in order, double play you out of the inning.
So 2 on 1 out for Cabrera, who hit a long home run to left field in the second inning.
Well, he does a great job on this pitch here. Kyle left it up out over the plate, and he's hit some big home runs against the Royals, and most of them have been up out over the plate, and he really does a good job on breaking balls when you leave him on the plate. So he's just a tough hitter against the Royals.
Got in on the hands and fouls it away. Well, he was all over the Kyle Davies pitch, but kind of whiffed on his high five of Gene Lamont. Gene Lamont, former big league manager for the White Sox and the Pirates, and for 8 years was in the Royals minor league system. Royals are going to get the double play, so Mitch Meyer should get an assist on that play by going to second base, keeps the double play in order. Working with abused or neglected children, working as a social worker and therapist. Dwayne now also serves on a task force that deals with the needs of young Missourians in foster care. So welcome to Kauffman Stadium. Dwayne Lewis sitting in the Buck O'Neil legacy seat at today's game. And fans, don't forget to nominate others who make a difference in our community for the All-Stars Among Us promotion. Sending one worthy Royals fan to St. Louis for the 2009 All-Star game. Fans can visit Royals.com/community to submit nominations. Mitch Meyer grounds out to second base for the second time today. But one of the little subtleties of the game, Meyer on that base hit to center from Magglio Ordonez, you could see he was tempted to try and throw out Josh Anderson on his way to third base, but throws it to second, and then Cabrera bounces into the double play.
Well, Mitch probably remembers Anderson from Double-A and knows that he's going to be a hard guy to throw out. But if you give up that extra 90 feet, you usually pay a big price for it.
Yeah, now that ground ball off the bat of Cabrera scores a run. There's runners at second and third. David tripled to right center field, his 4th of the year, and then Butler got him home, and now it's a soft liner to left. Anderson to the line and hurries it back to the infield, holding David to a single. So the Jesus is 2 for 2, and the tying run is at first with 1 out.
Well, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good right here. This pitch really gets in on David, and he really pulls his hands in and slices the ball, and he was just really fortunate to even get that ball fair and not hit it in the seats down the left field line.
Something that's been fun being around Trey Hillman the last year and a half. He has his own set of vocabulary. But one thing that he uses to describe guys like DeJesus, or at least a swing like that, like you said, you know, maybe it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but he comes up with a hit. Barrel awareness, meaning that no matter where the pitch is and no matter what the hitter has to do with his hands, he has an idea of where the barrel is and how to make as solid contact as possible.
Well, there's some other words for swings like that.
Billy singled to left field in the first, scoring DeJesus. One ball, one strike. Talking to Billy the other day about batting third, and now for you he batted 4th behind Alex Gordon, but when he was in AAA last year, batted 3rd. Said he batted some 3rd when he was in rookie ball. And it's interesting, I never considered this, but Billy says, I mean, Billy's the kind of guy, he wants to be in the middle of it. I mean, he's not going to back away from a premier hitting spot. But he says one thing he likes about hitting 3rd, no matter what the situation is, he knows they're going to pitch him tough. And when he was hitting 6th at times, he didn't know, well, are they really going to come at me this time, or are they going to pitch me tough this time? And now he just takes the approach as a number 3 hitter that he's probably going to get the best that pitcher has every time he comes to the plate. So he knows what to expect.
Well, I think he's right there, but I think it all depends on who's behind you too. And if you have a guy who can't hit the ball out of the ballpark batting behind him, then they're going to pitch him a little bit different. But with Jose Guillen batting behind him, he's going to get better pitches to hit.
And that pitch really stung him. He is not ready to get back into the box yet. And that's already a tender area for him. He already wears the shin guard.
And what does a smart catcher do on this next pitch?
Sinker down and in.
And they went away.
Or four-seamer down and away. What do we know, right?
I tell you what, the pitch to me would have been to go back in and see if he really wants to hit it or not. This is a fastball right on the outside corner. Billy did a great job getting extended and fouled this pitch off. That's definitely Porcello's pitch right there.
Now timeout called by, or asked for by, Gerald Laird. A win today, the Royals take the series, and they will be 2 games back of the Tigers in the Central. Royals have not won a series in their last 5. Everett out at second, Polanco to first. That is a good looking double play turned by the Tigers. Started by Everett diving up the middle. Royals send just 3 to the plate in the 3rd. Ninth inning. Hey, fans, the Royals are introducing the new All-Star Barbecue Autograph Series. This Friday, John Mayberry will be available in the All-Star Barbecue area to sign autographs starting at 5:30. Then enjoy fireworks from Hy-Vee and Pepsi after the game. So another something new at New Coffin Stadium. The new All-Star Barbecue Autograph Series in Big John on Friday night starting at 5:30. Think Big John's going to get a beef sandwich out of that?
Oh boy. I would. Then you got to decide, do I want to go home and sleep it off or do I want to watch the ball game? It was really neat to see his son get his first major league home run. I thought that was pretty exciting. John Jr. had the biggest smile on his face, and I know I didn't get to see it, John being interviewed in the stands. They say he was all smiles too.
Traded from the Rangers to the Phillies during the offseason. RO Nate Bukaty was on vacation with his wife Kelly, and they were in New York taking in some games at new Yankee Stadium. And Nate, who grew up watching John Mayberry play first base for the Royals, got to see John Jr. hit his first home run.
That's pretty cool.
Well, Kyle was ahead of Granderson 1-2, but lets him off the hook with a walk. Kyle's first, and now Brandon Inge. Inge flied to right in the second inning. Out of play. Here's today's Roadrunner Turbo Speed Pitch comparison from the first 3 innings. Kyle at 95, Porcello at 96. But we've seen some heat so far in this series. You can double your speed with Roadrunner Turbo from Time Warner Cable. Hernandez from his knees stands up, throws to second, double play. Second in the last 2 innings for the Royals.
Well, this is a great play by Luis to be able to backhand that ball and get to his feet. And Alberto did a great job staying in. Granderson went in hard at second base, but he did a great job of letting his feet kind of go limp and just really just rolled him out at second base. And from Kyle's standpoint, that's my best friend.
And now Laird pops it up. Billy getting around Andy Van Slyke in the coach's box. So leadoff walk. Kyle faces only 3, throws only 9 pitches. To the bottom of the fourth inning, and let's say happy birthday to Bob Davis. Broadcasting on the Royals radio network with Denny Matthews. It's been an exciting year for Bob, celebrating his 65th birthday, and his son Steven will be getting married this fall. Our radio voice at AA Northwest Arkansas. Ball one outside to Jose Guillen. Struck out in the first inning. Porcello has struck out 4. 1 ball, 1 strike. In the first, David DeJesus tripled with 1 out. Billy Butler got him to the plate. And then the Tigers in the top of the second got a home run from Cabrera and a 2-out RBI single from Rayburn. Jose was tempted, takes a strike. He thought that pitch was up and in. That was the pitch that struck Jose out, so he's made the adjustment in this at-bat. That sinker that just disappears.
Well, that's a pretty nasty pitch, I tell you. When it turns over like that, you just beat the top of it and hit high hoppers all day long.
Back to Porcello, makes a nice play and goes halfway to first. 1 down in the fourth inning.
There's my 1985 World Series combo, Buddy Biancalana, standing next to, well, actually squatting next to Art Stewart and then John Wathan, so he's in the stadium today.
And there's Royals coach Eddie Rodriguez right behind them. Jacobs gives Cabrera a tough hop, but Cabrera to Porcello, so Jacobs 0 for 1, walked his first time. 2 up, 2 down in the fourth inning. Faith and Family Day returns to Kauffman Stadium on Sunday, June the 14th. You'll enjoy a game against the Cincinnati Reds in interleague play, which starts at 1:10. And then we hope you'll stay after the game for the Sprint Fun Run and a free concert by Mercy Me. Again, that's Sunday, June the 14th, Royals and the Cincinnati Reds. Martin struck out swinging in the first inning. Two and 0. Tien coming into the game last night was 0 for his last 10, 1 for 22, but had a very Mark Tien-like swing when he doubled to left field in the second inning against Edwin Jackson. Taking a pitch out over the plate to the fence and left. And drives it to left again. Slicing into the corner. It is gone, and the game is tied. I've seen someone take such an easy swing like Tien does and hit it so far to the opposite field.
Well, he hits it so far to the opposite field, Ryan, but the ball doesn't slice. It just keeps straight. It just holds the line. And really, when he's at his best, this is Mark Tien. This is when he can stay back and let the ball travel and trust his hands and get through the ball. We saw so much of that in spring training, and so maybe last night he found out that this is what I wasn't doing. But he stays back on his backside. He rotates, and he just really gets the bat hit through the ball.
One and two on Alberto Callaspo. You know, Mark Tien, that's his second home run against Rick Porcello in 5 at-bats.
I mean, he really felt like he was giving the pitchers way too much credit and wasn't staying back and letting the ball travel. And well, he did a great job on that swing.
Fiaspo to Polanco to end the inning, but Mark Teahan goes deep into the left field corner, and we are tied at the end of 4. In his approach, and got the double last night to the opposite field, and then tying the game in the bottom of the 4th inning with a home run to the opposite field.
Well, 4 of his 6 home runs, Ryan, has been in this fashion in the left field. And part of this game is remembering what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. And the more times you can remember what you're doing right, the more successful you're going to be. So Mark just needs to patent that swing right there, be selective in the pitches that he's going to hit, and then continue to drive the ball to left center, left field, because that's obviously where his biggest success is going to be. Once he starts pulling the ball, he starts rolling over. Either that's when his strikeouts go up, and that's when his lazy ground balls to second base show up. So that was outstanding pitch selection and getting through the ball and keeping it fair.
Want to know on Ryan Rayburn, who put the Tigers in front with his single in the 2nd inning, trying to bunt his way on. Well, the Billy Butler RBI in the 1st inning, we were talking about the the approach of using the middle of the field, but then not trying to muscle up and pull the ball, but just be quick with the hands and pull the ball if you need to.
Well, I mean, the adage that the old timers used to use when I came up were, slow body, quick hands. Get your body out of the way, trust your hands to get through the zone, and that's where your bat speed is going to be generated from. And where hitters get in trouble is they want to use their body to swing the bat. That slows them down, and they usually end up chasing a lot of bad breaking balls out of the zone.
Ryan Rayburn better be careful. He thought that pitch was up and used his hands to make his point to Bill Hahn. So if it's close, he better be swinging. It's one thing to ask the umpire, was that up? It's another thing to gesture with you, demonstrate with the hands.
That's it. I'm going to set this strike zone for you. I'm going to tell you what's a strike and what's a ball.
You have to have a lot more at bats in the big leagues before you start thinking about doing something like that.
Oh boy, even the good ones don't do that.
Well, Rayburn with another good swing. He's 2 for 2. Tigers with the leadoff man on in each of the 5 innings against Davies, who is at 62 pitches with the James B. Nutter pitch count. 40-22 strike to ball ratio. He has walked 1 in 4+ innings.
And that's kind of like living on the edge. Every inning you got to pitch your way out of a jam, and it's hard on the defense because they're all out of position playing for the double play. So nobody on defense has had an opportunity to relax in any of those innings. So now here they find themselves again with a man on first base.
Adam Everett struck out his first time up. Now lays down a bunt. Kyle will play it to first, and a runner in scoring position for the top of the order. And now Josh Anderson, who has singled twice. 7 hits for the Tigers and a walk. So they've had 8 base runners already in 4 1/3 innings. But Anderson singled to open the game. Davies picked him off. In the 3rd inning, the Tigers got 2 hits. The Royals turned to double play. In the 4th inning, a leadoff walk. The Royals turned to double play. Well, Kyle's gotten some extra outs on the bases. And the Tigers with just 1 extra base hit among the 7 total hits so far today.
I just think it's awful hard to work when you're a pitcher when you have men on base every inning. You sometimes that 1 inning or 2 innings you get on and off the field. That's a nice pick me up. But when you have to fight through every inning, it takes its toll on you.
Two and one. Well, before today, Kyle had allowed fewer hits than innings pitched. The league was only hitting .245 against him, but also giving up 23 walks in 52 innings. Anderson into center. Rayburn will round the bag, and the Tigers are back out in front again. So single, sack bunt, single. 3-2 Detroit.
Kyle leaves another ball up. It's supposed to have been away, and you know when you look where the catcher's sitting, where the pitch is, it makes a big difference. John Buck wanted that ball on the outside corner, and Kyle threw the ball on the inside, and that really hurt him. I mean, you got to hit your spots, and when you're not hitting your spots, it not only throws you off as a catcher, but also throws the defense off up the middle because those guys are anticipating the pitch and the location of the pitch.
Well, twice now today the Royals have scored, and Davies has allowed the Tigers to come right back and score. 1-0 on Polanco. He is 0 for 2. Here's today's Firestone leaderboard. We have 2 of the most difficult hitters in the American League to strike out in the game today. Alberto Callaspo, the most difficult, percentage points ahead of Robinson Cano, and Polanco, who bats now. And Polanco, the most difficult in the American League in 07 and 08. Count is 2-0. Hammered to deep left field. DeJesus was shallow. David all the way back, and Polanco has hit a 2-run home run. Second home run given up by Davies today. Polanco, his first of the year.
When you get behind hitters, Ryan, you really make them better hitters. And here Polanco normally is trying to hit the ball the other way, but he had a 2-ball, no strike count. Davies left the fastball out over the plate, and he really jumped on that ball. And I tell you, no matter what kind of hitter you are, when the pitcher keeps putting you in a hitting count, you become a better hitter automatically.
Ordonez pulls it to Tien at third. So Davies comes back and gets a ground ball from Ordonez. He's 1 for 3. The Tigers have put 5 on the board in less than 5 innings. And now Cabrera, who hit the first home run for Detroit, now is back in the second inning. A long home run that cleared the Tiger bullpen. A couple of seasons ago, Miguel Cabrera became the 3rd fastest in Major League history to 500 career RBIs. Whoa. Almost a good play. That's a dangerous play. 2 ground balls to third from Ordonez and Cabrera after the 2-run home run from Polanco. Joel Goldberg and Jamie Quirk, brought to you by Boulevard Brewing Company, Kansas City's beer. That's Curtis Granderson handling a fly ball from John Buck. So Rick Porcello with his offense just giving him 3 runs and a 3-run lead. Tires Buck on the first pitch of the 5th, and John is 0 for 2. Luis Hernandez, a strikeout victim in the second inning. One ball, one strike. We asked you very early in the game, and you call it, presented by Sprint, what new addition will help the most? Right now 47% for Mitch Meyer, followed by John Bale at 37%. Bale and Meyer both having impacts in the Royals' last 2 wins. Inge recovers to throw out Luis Hernandez. John Bale coming out of the bullpen, getting a big strikeout of Rick Ankiel on Sunday afternoon, and then pitching a scoreless 8th. And then Mitch Meyer with the 2-run single in the game last night.
Well, that's a tough one there because both of them are premium positions. You know, it's nice to have a center fielder that can go out there with the speed of Mitch and cover the ground, and also it's nice to have a Luis Hernandez who is a natural shortstop that can go out there and make plays for you at shortstop. So that's a tough one to call. But I would probably rather go with a guy that's going to be on the field every day over a relief pitcher at this point.
Those are the sideburns and the goatee of John Bale. Cabrera plays a tough hop to the bag. A 7-pitch 5th inning for Rick Porcello. Ball 1 to Curtis Granderson, on base twice with a single and a walk, and has scored a run.
Now, you take a guy like Curtis Granderson who's leading off, and all of a sudden you move him back in the middle of your order. You say, well, why would you take a leadoff hitter and move him in the middle of the order? But well, he's a little bit different than most leadoff guys. With 11 homers and 27 RBI, you can stick him almost anywhere in your lineup and not feel like you've hurt yourself.
And Jim Leyland will do that every now and then. Put Granderson down in the order, not very often. But getting Josh Anderson in there today, a little extra speed. So Granderson can move down, and he's walked for the 2nd time. And that is 6 straight innings today where the first man has either reached or hit a home run to begin the inning against Davies. So he has been out of the stretch all day. Now Granderson walked his last time up, and then Brandon Inge hit into that double play we just showed you. This time Inge lifts it to center. Mitch Meyer backing up to the track. Granderson backing up to first to tag. Meyer's throw is a little high. Well, fans, coming up on Friday, June the 12th at Kauffman Stadium, it'll be the 2nd annual Sky Show. Hy-Vee, Pepsi, and 106.5 The Wolf are bringing a complete audio-visual spectacular, the biggest fireworks show in the Midwest. So Friday, June the 12th, that's the Royals and the Reds. It's a 7:10 first pitch. Granderson at second, 1 out. Gerald Laird, who is 0 for 2. Davies backing off the rubber as Callaspo made a move coming over from second base, so he was out of position, and John Buck calling time. Didn't want Davies to deliver the pitch with Callaspo so close to the bag. 1-0 to Laird.
Oh, Granderson's watching two things here, Ryan. He's watching Kyle Davies and how slow or easy it is to the plate. But he's also watching where Mark Tien's playing, which is pretty far back from third base. So he knows that if he takes off, Mark Tien's got to cover a lot of ground, get in position, and catch the ball and make the tag. So that's pretty hard to do. He really should just kind of move in, maybe 5 feet behind the bag, so to make that play a lot easier. Not only for him, but to make it easy for John Buck's throw down at third base.
Well, not only that, but we've pointed out, and we've seen it today, that Gerald Laird will lay down a bunt. Horacio Ramirez and Roman Colon throwing in the Royals bullpen with 1 out in the 6th inning.
Now, the Royals, a lot of times with two strikes, they'll move their third baseman way back, but a lot of times you turn a routine ground ball into a tougher play when you go too deep.
So 1-0 on Laird, originally from the A's organization. The Royals have seen him quite a bit with the Rangers. Traded to Detroit during the offseason. The Tigers also acquired Matt Trainer, who was a teammate of Mike Jacobs last year at the Florida Marlins, but very early in the season, Trainer injured his hip and had to have surgery on his hip. It's like Alex Gordon did, although Trainer's surgery cost him the rest of the year. Now it's 3-0 on Laird. Ryan Rayburn waits on deck, and that's important because as Kyle has given up 5 runs in 5 1/3 innings. The hitter who's had maybe the 2 best swings against Davies today is the next one coming up. Swinging 3-0 and gets it right through the legs of Tien. Going to wave home Granderson. And DeJesus, who was a little late getting over there, I don't think he expected Granderson to round third and come to the plate, but Gene Lamont was watching him the whole way and waved him home. It's an error to Tien, and it's 6-2 Detroit.
Well, Mark does wrong here. He just kind of looks up a little too early, and the ball gets underneath his glove, and that's what you don't want to do. You want to make sure you block that ball at third base, but he just let it go right through the wickets right there.
Now Rayburn to Callaspo. That's out number 2. So Rayburn retired for the first time. Well, you figure a ground ball to the left side. Granderson is not going on contact. And that ball was not hit up along the line, but I think the Royals figured that Granderson would stop at third base, but he really helped out Gene Lamont as he went hard into third base, and Lamont said, what the heck? Wave him home, and he got to the plate without a throw.
Well, with his speed, once he saw the ball get by Tien, he really realized he had a chance to score, especially when it was toward the line like it was. So he's gonna be cautious, and once he sees the ball get by him, he's gonna go all the way. Yeah, Mark really didn't get down on that ball like you would normally get down on it. He more or less had one knee bent, the other leg was kind of almost on the ground, and the ball kind of got on his glove. He just got to let it get too deep into his body and lost track of it.
John Buck just saved another run. Gerald Laird swinging on a 3-0 pitch. The Royals almost got a break. The ground ball to third on a 3-0 pitch. Everett takes a strike, and it's 2-2.
You know, you can kind of see the type of game that the Tigers are playing. You know, Laird, he'll try to bunt. Everett takes a look down at Martin deep. He fakes a bunt. And so they're really paying attention to what's going on defense. And Jim Leland is playing the short game a little bit by sacrificing and getting runs that way. So they're trying to play a full game here. And you're pretty much seeing all the imagination of the hitters trying to come out in this ball game.
Hernandez dives. Nice play. Tough throw. Safe. Run scores, and it's 7-2. And now John Gibbons is going to come out, and he wants Horacio Ramirez to come into the game. So a 2-run six gives the Tigers a 5-run lead. Royals may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Horacio Ramirez hoping to trim some points off of his ERA at 7.36. He's given up 24 hits and 18 in the third innings. He comes on with Everett at first base and 2 down. The Tigers had a 2-1 lead at the end of 2. The Royals tied it in the bottom of the 4th on Martin's solo home run, but now Detroit with 3 in the 5th, 2 more in the 6th, and leads 7-2. Josh Anderson is 3 for 3. Four for 4. It's been a long inning. Look at Andy Van Slyke, who holds on to everyone's extra gloves and shin guards. He's got everything over there. He needs a little help from the bat boy to unload some of that gear, and here comes the Tiger bat boy.
I've been there before.
He's like an equipment trunk.
You have batting gloves, you have elbow guards, and shin guards.
Colon into face Polanco. 6th inning. Third pitcher for the Royals in the inning is Roman Colon. Kyle Davies got the first 2 outs. Rossi Ramirez faced one man, gave up a base hit, and now Colon to face Placido Polanco. And earlier in the series, Colon made his Royals debut.
He really did, Ryan. He ended up getting 3 strikeouts in his debut, and that was pretty impressive with his slider. And he was throwing his fastball 93, 94 miles an hour.
Comes on with Everett at second base, Anderson at first. Josh Anderson 4 for 4. Polanco hit a 2-run home run against Kyle Davies in the 5th inning, turning a 3-2 game into a 5-2 game. Polanco's first of the year. Facing his former teammate. Last time Colon pitched in the big leagues before Monday was with the Tigers in 2006. Hit hard past Tien and into left field. 8-2 Tigers as Everett comes home on Polanco's 3rd RBI of the day.
Well, if you ever felt like you were a target, I think Mark Tien's starting to feel like he's a target down there for Polanco. That play right there, like he didn't pick the ball up right away and just kind of couldn't get that one step to the left that he needed. He just sort of a falling dive on that one.
Gets a chance here and fires down to second base to cut down Polanco and end the inning. The Tigers have their 2nd straight 3-run inning and now lead by 6.
As we go to the bottom of the 6th, Detroit 8, Kansas City 2. This is our Sonic Slam inning, and our contestant is Fred Costanza from Independence, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run this inning, Fred will win $1,400. But if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Fred will win $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
2 hits for David DeJesus, scored back in the 1st inning. 2 runs, 4 hits for KC in 5 innings against Porcello. Royals scored in the bottom of the first when Butler singled home to Jesus. Tigers came right back with 2 in the second. Royals tied it in the fourth on Martin's home run. Now the Tigers with 3 in the fifth, 3 in the sixth. We have not had a close game yet. Tigers winning 13-1 on Monday. The Royals 6-1 last night. Over Porcello and Polanco and Everett. A little breakdown in communication, but Polanco making the move at the last minute to get the ball and throws out to Jesus.
You won't see this too often right here. The ball's directly over the middle, and both infielders converging, and that's really one of those plays. That's just a shot in the dark kind of play right there, where you can barehand that ball and throw in the same motion.
Now Billy Butler, RBI single, and he's grounded into a double play. Martin earlier in the game, charging in from third, tried to grab that ball with his bare hand, and we were talking about how, you know, that has to land in your bare hand perfectly. And Polanco and the good ones do it. This is more routine for him. Well, Butler is out number 2, but he grabbed that with his bare hand and did it on the infield dirt, where you're not going to get any kind of a true hop at all.
Well, that's true. I mean, that's just one of those plays that 9 times out of 10 you don't make that play, and everything just sort of fell just perfect for him on that play.
That guy right there made that play several times.
Not barehanded, I'm gonna tell you that. I used my glove as much as I could. When I first came up, and I used to watch Mark Belanger for the Baltimore Orioles play, and he always told me if you saw a shortstop that couldn't set his feet before he threw, then he probably wasn't a very good shortstop. And he said always use your glove on balls that are rolling, and only barehand the balls that are coming to a complete stop. But as we know, times change and players change, because if you look at Omar Vizquel, he was a king at, he still is a king at catching balls with his bare hand. And I can honestly say I never saw him bobble a ball barehanded.
One of his most famous ones was the final out for a no-hitter. Had the guts to make a bare-hand play when Chris Bosio threw a no-hitter for the Mariners. You think, now it wasn't a perfect game, but still it's a no-hitter, and came in bare-handed. I mean, why not? He makes it so easily. Two and two on Guillen. Don't forget, coming up on Saturday, the first 20,000 fans are going to get this Kansas City Monarchs jersey presented by Pepsi. That's the Royals and the White Sox at 6:10. The gates to the ballpark opening at 3 o'clock. So come on out early, get your jersey, and enjoy the Royals and the White Sox, who will both be wearing vintage Negro League uniforms. Hosea struck out, grounded out against Porcello. How about that swing, and hits it relatively hard into left center. Almost an afterthought, but drives it to left center. The inning is over. runs on 12 hits. Miguel Cabrera and Placido Polanco have homered for Detroit. Martin has homered for the Royals. Martin's home run to get Rick Porcello into the left field corner, which tied the game at 4. Tied the game in the 4th. The Tigers with 3 runs in the 5th, 3 in the 6th. And now Roman Colon, who recorded the final out of the 6th inning, stays on to face Cabrera, Granderson, and Inge in the 7th. Meyer into right center to make the catch. 1 down in the 7th inning. Hey, don't forget, coming up on July the 8th or July the 11th from 8 a.m. to noon, it's Royals alumni fans batting practice. 10 Royals alumni will be here at Kauffman Stadium to work with you if you want to take batting practice on the field. 816-504-4150. Only 40 spots, so call now. And this year the Royals are encouraging moms to come out with dads and the kids. It's a great time, 4 hours, 8 a.m. till noon, and again July the 11th. One and one on Granderson. On base 3 times, a couple of walks and a single. He scored twice. And Colon running it up there at 94 miles an hour. Butler to the line, swings around in foul ground, and Colon beats Granderson to the bag. Good play by Butler on the right side. 2 down in the 7th.
Yeah, Billy's gotten so smooth at this play to his left, and he's made this play a number of times. So now you know he can make it all the time, but he does a great job of going through the ball, getting his balance back, and giving that pitcher a nice feed. In this case, Colon a nice feed. Let her high, and keep him on the infield side of the bag.
So 2 away for Brandon Inge. Hitless in 3 trips. Colon had a couple of rough years when he was with the Tigers. He had neck surgery after the 2006 season. Spent 2007 in the minor leagues, where he was involved with a fight with one of his teammates in the clubhouse, and with arms and elbows flying everywhere, he accidentally got one of his teammates in the face with an elbow. There were some criminal charges that were involved. It was just a bad accident. Colon able to put that behind him, and he is looking good in his return to the big leagues for the first time since 2006. has a beautiful singing voice, so from time to time she will get on the dugout, sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." But she had a little surprise when she was done today. Proposed to by some guy wearing a Billy Butler jersey. I hope they know each other.
He just showed her the ring, but no words came out of his mouth.
I think she knew what that meant. Panera takes us around the league, where Toronto really fading away in the East. They're still near the top, but looked like they were going to run away with the East. Had lost 8 in a row. Look like they're going to get a victory today. This is Bobby C. replacing Rick Porcello in the bottom of the 7th inning. So Porcello and the Tigers being very careful with his pitch count. He was barely over 80 pitches today, but into the 7th inning and a 6-run lead. Jim Leyland, who again promised Dave Dombrowski that he would protect those good young arms, seeing an opportunity to get a guy out after 82 pitches.
Well, with this kind of command and this kind of pitches that he has, you know 100 pitches in the major leagues for him is no different than 100 pitches in the minor leagues. You just concentrate a little bit harder, and the score a lot of times will dictate how long you're going to stay out there. But like you say, I'm sure when he goes out there every day, then in Jim Leyland's mind, he knows pretty much when he wants to get him out of the game.
Mike Jacobs with a walk and a ground out against Porcello. Fifth strikeout for the Royals at the plate today after striking out only 2 times last night. So 1 down in the bottom of the 7th. Other games are in the National League. Cubs have had a tough time scoring runs lately, leading Pittsburgh. Dodgers in front of the Rockies. Dodgers at 32-15. They haven't lost a step at all since Manny Ramirez was suspended. In fact, playing at about the same pace. I think they had a little bit of a slide right after the suspension, but Juan Pierre taking over where Ramirez left off and hitting at the top of the order and looking like, well, Juan Pierre when he was
Juan Pierre of old.
having big seasons with the Florida Marlins.
Yeah, it definitely gave him an upgrade in speed.
Two 2-0 on Tien, who homered his last time. That tied the game at 2 in the 4th, and now 6 unanswered runs from Detroit. This is not a small market sob story, but how many teams lose a guy like Manny Ramirez and can pull Juan Pierre off their bench? That's a pretty good outfielder that they gave a lot of money to a few years ago, Juan Pierre, who Dodgers can afford to put him on the bench, and now he comes in with Manny Ramirez out. 2 hits for Tien, 1 on 1 out in the bottom of the 7th. Hy-Vee Pepsi fireworks coming up after the game on Friday. The Royals with an off day tomorrow, then the White Sox in for 3. 7-10 game on Friday. Brian Bannister going for his 5th win against Clayton Richard, and the fireworks spectacular after the game. Oh, and 1 to Callaspo against Porcello. Callaspo flied to center and grounded out to second. Busted bat. Rayburn comes running up in right field to get Callaspo. And 2 down for John Buck. So Rick Porcello with another good start. He has a chance to win his 5th consecutive start if the Tigers hang on. Jim Leyland's going to go to the bullpen now. But he has not allowed more than 2 runs in a start in his last 6. This is Joel Zumaya to face Buck. Hit. Arby's shows us a pitch-by-pitch sequence when Tien homered in the 4th.
Well, this is one of Mike's most patient at bats. He took a fastball, a changeup, and another fastball down the middle, and a fastball on the outside corner. And the only swing of the at bat, Ryan, he got his pitch and drove it over the left field wall.
That was Tien's 6th of the year. Now John Buck 0 for 2 against Porcello. Facing hard-throwing Joel Zumaya, who's had all kinds of injury troubles the last 2 years. He started the season on the disabled list. He had a fractured shoulder that was discovered in September. He was on the DL twice last year with shoulder problems and finally discovered that he had a fracture in there. He first injured that shoulder after the 2007 season. Remember all those fires out in Southern California? Well, he was helping his family evacuate, and they were trying to quickly move some boxes out of the family's attic, and one of them fell awkwardly on his shoulder. And lo and behold, in there a fracture after he had already had surgery. The Tigers would love to have that arm in the bullpen. He can get up close to 100. That pitch at 97. And not happy with himself as he walks Buck with his team in front by 6 runs.
Yeah, one of the key things is you blessed with a great arm, but you also want to be blessed with command also, and that'll make that great arm come out and make you a great reliever. But if he can command it, he'll be good. If he doesn't command it, he'll be men on base.
.97 for a strike on Luis Hernandez. 0 for 2. Zumaya also had a very bizarre injury here at Kauffman Stadium. He was warming up during a game in 2007 and ruptured a tendon in his finger. I remember in the middle of the game, all of a sudden people started running out to the bullpen in left field and wondering what was going on. And then shortly after that, Zumaya coming out with the trainer and holding onto his right hand. Hernandez gets around on a fastball at 99, and he's going to drive in Mark Teahan. So it's an 8-3 game. So showing off some bat speed there to get around on that pitch.
Well, that's a nice short swing, and you know he has the ability to just choke up on the bat, and that shortened the swing, and that's why he was able to get to this ball.
So Hernandez drives in his first run as a Royal. First and third, 2 down with Mitch Meyer coming up. Just in case the Royals are thinking about a double steal with 2 outs, Gerald Laird went out in front of home plate and gave some signals to the defense, letting them know where he will throw. Now Mitch Meyer. 97-mile-an-hour fastball, and Polanco runs it down in shallow center field. Royals get a run on the Hernandez base hit. It's 8-3 Detroit. The runs were unearned. That is the newly engaged Kirby of the K Crew, proposed to after she performed Take Me Out to the Ball Game during the 7th inning stretch. Kyle Farnsworth is on for his 18th appearance. He's got his ERA down to 3.94.
And that was a long way back too. After those first 3 or 4 outings.
Of the Royals' first 5 losses of the year, Farnsworth had 3 of them, including on opening day at Chicago. He'll face Laird, Rayburn, and Everett in the 8th inning. So Davies 5 2/3. Ramirez faced 1 batter in the 6th, and then Colon came on and got the last inning and a third. Laird had a key plate appearance in the 6th inning, reaching on an error by Mark Teahen at third base. At the time, the Tigers were in front 5-2, so they had a nice lead, but it was still a game. But Laird, after a walk to Granderson and 1 out, hit a ball through Teahen's legs. The Tigers turned that into a 3-run inning, and at the time a 6-run lead. The Royals got a run back in the bottom of the 7th. On the topic of the Royals bullpen, Joakim Soria was expected to pitch in an extended spring training game today in Arizona, so on his road back to the big leagues. Laird to Teahen again. 1 down in the 8th inning. Royals want to make absolutely sure that that inflammation in Soria's right shoulder doesn't come up again. Have him pitch in some minor league games as opposed to just bringing him off the DL and making a roster move, and then 2 or 3 days later the shoulder acts up again. Royals going to be a little more cautious in his return to the roster this time.
Well, that was one of the big changes in the game that I would have preferred to have when I was playing. When you come off an injury, you don't have to go right back into the action and try to work your way back that way. If you could have been able to go out and play for 10 or so days and kind of get your feet back under you before you went back into live action, I think that's a big plus for the player.
Two and on Ryan Rayburn. Robinson Tejeda on the disabled list. So he's not quite ready for a rehab assignment if he goes on one. Doug Wechter is still on the DL and having some problems with a muscle on his side. There's Doug talking to Zach Greinke. Two and two.
And that fastball almost looked like a cutter. Just moved right out of the middle of the plate toward the end of the bat. It's primarily a fastball, hard slider.
96 over the corner. Maybe that was in response to Ryan Rayburn showing Bill Hahn what the strike zone was his last time up.
Well, that's true. You can watch strike 2 right here. It looks like the ball starts in the middle and then just kind of goes away, kind of dips down and off the end of the bat. And then this is just a pitcher's pitch right here on the outside corner. Fastball that runs back and catches the outside corner, unhittable.
And then more of a kind of a sinking fastball that time at 96. So some natural cut and some natural sink on Farnsworth's fastball.
I think the thing to watch is arm slot to see if he's dropped his arm down a little bit to give him a little bit more movement. But it looks like he's still right over the top with his slider anyway.
Everett 1 out of 2 has an RBI and a run scored.
Now that pitch would make you pretty uncomfortable.
98 by your nose.
Looks like it's going uphill, right by your face uphill. You say, oh man, then he throws a slider down the way.
Lifted to center field. Mitch Meyer makes the catch. Farnsworth gets the Tigers in order. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Tigers with 3 in the 5th, 3 in the 6th. Lead by 5 into the bottom of the 8th inning to Jesus, Butler, and Guillen to face hard-throwing Joel Zamaya. 2-hit game so far for David. And the first inning tripled, his 4th of the year. Butler singled him home. David singled in the 3rd. Royals led 1-0. Tigers with 2 in the 2nd. Royals tied in the 4th, and then Tigers running away with big innings in the 5th and the 6th, scoring all 8 of their runs against Kyle Davies today. One ball, 2 strikes. .100 miles an hour. Everett at shortstop retires to Jesus. So the shoulder surgery and then the fractured shoulder, the ruptured finger, all of that. And Zamaya is back to throwing 100 miles an hour again.
Well, the Tigers can run some arms at you with some high velocity, and coming out of that bullpen, all these guys can get pop-ups and strikeouts, and Jim Leland's got to like that.
You know, the funny thing about it was that, you know, Fernando Rodney out there and Joel Zamaya, that, you know, maybe the softest thrower in that bullpen was their closer, Todd Jones. But he was the one with the veteran savvy who had been in all those closing situations over the years and felt like he could stomach being a closer. He's the Tigers' all-time saves leader since retired. He was the Tigers' closer when they went to the World Series. There's another pitch at 100.
Well, he was throwing 100 and Billy's swinging 100. That don't really compute. And he's got it on the outside corner. There's just not much you can do with that pitch. That low arm slide kind of holds the right-handed hitter back.
Another 100-mile-per-hour pitch. Knowing Billy, though, he was probably fired up about that. I'm guessing Billy would like the challenge of facing a guy throwing that hard.
Well, yeah, you just gotta look for the ball and put the fear of the ball coming inside out of your mind. But you don't see guys throwing that hard very often, and not only hard but hard with movement.
Guillen struck out, grounded out, flied out. Had 2 RBIs last night, and the Royals win. 96 with that fastball, and as you point out, that arm angle. I mean, how'd you like to be a right-hand batter facing this guy? And keep your front shoulder in.
It holds you back a little bit. You don't want to stick your nose out over the plate too far.
Oh, he just blew out the radar gun. .99. Rodney throwing fire against the Royals in order in the 8th. Explore a menu full of hearty soups, hand-tossed salads, inventive sandwiches, and savory breakfast items. Panera Bread, where every detail matters. $16,568 here on a Wednesday afternoon. Juan Cruz is the 5th Royals pitcher today. Farnsworth a scoreless 8th. Colon a scoreless inning in a 3rd. Ramirez faced 1 batter, gave up a hit, no runs. And the Tigers scoring 8 against Davies in 5 2/3 innings. 3 of the runs were unearned. Josh Anderson is 4 for 4. All singles, driven in a run, scored a run, stolen a base. Anderson originally from the Astros organization, and Frank saw him when he was at AA Corpus Christi playing against Frank when he was managing in Wichita. Long run for Mitch Meyer. Long run out for Callaspo, who made a tough play look easy. 1 down in the 9th. So a tough day for the Royals. And the bottom of the 9th, they'll have Jacobs, Tien, and Callaspo. Tigers trying to take 2 out of 3 in the series. In game 1, the Tigers won 13-1, and in that game, Trey Hillman was ejected with a long argument with then home plate umpire Paul Emmel, which resulted in a 1-game suspension today. So John Gibbons is managing the Royals. 2 down in the 9th inning. This is that argument on Monday where Paul Emmel claimed that Trey spit in his face or spit in his eye. We've had all of our spit experts take a look at the video, trying to see the trajectory if possible. And here's Carlos Zambrano, who was ejected from his game pitching for the Cubs, and then he ejected the home plate umpire.
He was probably okay till he bumped him. That's when he was tossed.
Zambrano just coming back from the disabled list, so who knows if that'll result in a suspension for him. The Cubs are at 500. Most people were predicting they were just going to run away with that division. 22-22. They've lost 8 of their last 10. They're only 4 games out, but they have 2 teams to pass. Milwaukee and St. Louis tied for the division lead.
You know, I just think when players get kicked out of a game, I really think it just hurts the ball club. I mean, you're a starting player, you're a starting pitcher, your value is on the field. And my entire career, I never was kicked out as a player. And I told the manager, look, I'm going to do enough to let you know I don't agree, but if you're not coming, I'm going to walk away. But I wanted to stay in the game and try to help the ball club.
Billy into foul ground. Cruz gets the Tigers 1-2-3. Bottom of the 9th coming up. Royals down by 5. Joel Goldberg and Jamie Quirk. I'm not going to say anything about that kid because I'm pretty sure his dad can beat up my dad. Joel and Jamie will be out at Rivals Sports Bar in right field. Tough day for Kyle Davies. Rick Porcello with 6 solid innings. And leadoff hitters were indeed a difficulty for Kyle today as he pitched 5 2/3 innings. So into the 6th, and all 6 innings, the leadoff man either reached or, in the case of Miguel Cabrera, hit a home run. There's Fernando Rodney. So the Royals will get a break here. They'll go from Zamaya, who throws 100, to Rodney, who only throws 95. Mike Jacobs 0 for 2 with a walk today. Fernando Rodney is a guy that the Tigers have been wanting to hand the closer's role over to on more than one occasion. I mean, he certainly has the stuff. Mid-90s, great changeup, good breaking ball, and there are stretches where he looks like he could be not only an American League closer, but a very good American League closer. And then there have been a few times where he has lost the closer's role.
A lot of it had to be command, you know, the fastball, and then he went to a period where he really fell in love with his changeup and lost command of his fastball. So it just goes back to the closer. To me, the number one thing about a closer is got to be able to throw first pitch strike.
That's the thing that's always amazed me about Joakim Soria, even in the rare games when he gets hit hard and maybe even has a blown save or gives up a home run or maybe a hit that leads to the other team building a threat against him. He always comes back with strike one. I mean, always comes back with strike one.
And that really makes his other pitches good. I mean, if players can, I mean, hitters can eliminate your fastball, then you really have nowhere to go at that point.
97 on that fastball from Rodney. So Jacobs 0 for 3. And up comes Mark Teahen, who's had a good day at the plate. 2 hits, including his 6th home run of the year, but had a tough day in the field, committing an error in the 6th inning, which opened the floodgates for a 3-run 6th inning. All the runs were unearned, and that's when the Tigers started to pull away.
With so many innings where, with Kyle Davies, with so many innings where they were men on base, the first guy getting on base, you really kind of know it's only a matter of time before something's going to happen that's going to open the game up, and that's pretty much what happened there in the 6th inning. Man on base, now's an error, first one of the game, but things just sort of tumble from there. But it kind of starts with having men on base every inning and having your defense under pressure every inning.
Well, it didn't seem to hurt him early on, caught up with him late, but Anderson opened the game with a single, stole second, and Kyle picked him off. Then Cabrera hit the home run leading off the second. Tigers scored 2. The Royals eventually tied it for Davies, and then a couple of hits in the 3rd. Double play got him out of that. Leadoff walk in the 4th. Double play got him out of that. But then it caught up with him in the 5th and the 6th when the Tigers score 3 runs in each of those 2 innings. Still 1-2 on Teahen. There aren't many closers in the game today that use a changeup as much as Fernando Rodney. I mean, the guys that come to mind for me, Rodney, and then of course the all-time saves leader Trevor Hoffman has an outstanding changeup.
And Trevor probably wishes he had for Rodney's fastball to go with his changeup. When you have that kind of fastball, he tends to trust his changeup a lot more than he does his fastball.
It's one of those dangerous pitches too, where when you're coming in the 9th inning and trying to prevent an extra base hit, a changeup, you hang a changeup, and it's almost always an extra base hit. Tien through the right side, so he has 3 hits, getting his average up above 270. One on, one out in the 9th.
That's a slider at 86 miles an hour, and Tien hit it through the hole. You know, the hits you give up when you throw 97 miles an hour and late in the game like this, I'd rather give a hit up on my 97 mile an hour fastball. I think you only give a hitter a chance when you go down to 86 miles an hour and lead the ball out over the plate.
Well, we've seen it all season, and we've talked about it so many times this season that a lot of pitchers just feel like they have to throw all their pitches.
When you throw 97 with movement, all you have to do is spot it. And you can stay with that until the hitters tell you need to change.
0-2 to Callaspo. 0 for 3 today. One and two. Tigers hoping to move up to 4-2 against the Royals this year. They have won 8 of their last 11 here at Kauffman Stadium. One of those odd series where the visiting team has done better than the home team. Last year, these two teams, it was a very streaky season series. The Royals won the first 6, and the Tigers won 7 out of 9, and then the Royals won the last 3. Royals sweeping the Tigers twice in Detroit last year. Line to center. Granderson's going to play it on a bounce. 2 on, 1 out.
Again, that's that changeup, and Alberto was able to get it on the end of the bat and just get it out in the center field. It's thrown a fastball by him earlier, but here it just stays right out over there, and he just stays right on it. He just stays back, let his hands get out there. Not quite sure what they're trying to do here.
Do you think it's a result of some pitchers being so enamored with the strikeout and not saying, you know, at this point in the game, if he makes contact and makes an out, it may not be as exciting as a strikeout, but an out is an out at this point.
Well, you don't want to, you know, a lot of pitchers like to embarrass hitters. When they got a good changeup and a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, your tendency is to embarrass.
Buck very close to hitting a 3-run home run.
So when you want to embarrass hitters, you want to try to use all your pitches. And, you know, Rodney's best pitch in his mind might be his changeup, but when your fastball is not over for strikes, then that changeup is going to be sitting out there over the plate, and the hitters that stay back are going to be able to recognize it and hit it because it's not falling off the table. It's just kind of staying there.
Buck 0 for 2 with a walk today. Tien at second, Cayaspo at first. Great swing at that fastball at 98. Tien a 1-out single. Cayaspo followed with a single. Royals with one in the first, one in the fourth, one in the seventh. Overthrew it, 1-2. Two and two. Man, 99 with that fastball. Saw Joel Zumaya throw 3 pitches at 100 last inning, at least according to our gun. Struck him out. 2 down in the 9th inning. Rodney has struck out Jacobs and Buck. Up comes Hernandez.
But on John Buck, Ryan, he didn't mess around with that changeup. He went ahead and just threw his fastball and just, I mean, when you throw a 97, 98, you coming out of the bullpen, you know, that's the pitch you got to throw. That's the pitch you got to get in trouble on. And he decided, okay, this is bad. This batter, I'm just going to throw my changeup away, and now I'm going to use my fastball, and he had success.
A changeup to Luis Hernandez. Well, you have to understand. I mean, you have to throw a changeup to Hernandez, right? I mean, he got around on a Zumaya 99-mile-an-hour fastball last time up.
He has to get around on another one, too.
There are some old school pitchers, if you will, that cannot believe when a pitcher starts a hitter off with a changeup. Because a changeup is supposed to be a change of speed off the fastball. But if they never see your fastball, then what are you changing up on?
Well, if it's the first thing they see, that's what they, you're right. That's all they're going to see is that changeup.
That changeup had some bite to it. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, this was a little bit harder too, and they just ran back out over the plate. That's what you don't want it to do. You want it to go down, if anything.
Hernandez strikes out, and that's the game. So the Tigers come to Kansas City and take 2 out of 3, and they leave town with a 4-game lead over the Royals.